Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Something a little bit different today, hopefully. I've seen this a few times and I've been really intrigued. It's called inside out turning. I've got 4 pieces of ash here which are clamped in the jaws on one side, and I've taped them up as well just to hold them together, and it could be quite fun. So let's see. Okay, down to round. Now I've got to try and figure out what shape we're going to do. There's a couple of things I've learned in this so far already. If you do feel like doing this yourself, because it's quite a fun project to do by the sounds of it, we'll soon see how fun it is or not. First thing is, it's really good if you've got a set of jaws that are big enough for you to be able to fit the square end in, because if you put something in the middle, it'll try and push the pieces apart. These are not glued together, they are literally just held together with tape and the force of the chuck on one end. The other thing, as you can see on this end, I've got an adapter on my tailstock, which means that I get a wider grab on the bottom. Again, I was a bit worried about the point of the tailstock pushing in and then pushing the pieces apart, which obviously we don't want. Hopefully that'll be enough, because we're going to need to take all these apart, turn them all round, put them all back in again, and hope that everything still fits together. But we'll see how it goes. What I want to do is just a simple ornament, obviously with a hollow middle, because that's the whole point of doing this. Right, that'll do I think for that bit. Right, I'm going to sand this down and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on the inside. Don't go away, this is literally only the beginning of the story. I just tweaked the shape a little bit. I took it down a tiny bit in the middle and I put a more of a pronounced edge on here, and if I'm right you'll kind of see why when we turn the pieces over. So I'm going to put some finish on. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I think just sanding sealer. This is ash and it tends to really pop with cellulose sanding sealer. So let's try that. Hey, I remembered to cover the lathe bed. It's nice to have an interesting project to do. It's been a real tough old week. Very busy week. And it's nice just to do something with your hands. I think at the moment, with everything being locked down, it's really, really important to remember that. Let me know in the comments, what do you find helps de-stress you? I think anything that helps you stay in the moment. I don't mind admitting that, as a lot of people, I suffer from an anxiety problem. I think most people probably do in some way or another at the moment. So staying in the moment is really good. Anxiety is generally caused by memory or future fear. So if you can stay in the moment, then it's quite liberating and a little bit of a rest for your mind. I hope this works. It'll be a bit of a waste of time otherwise. And you probably won't ever see the video if it doesn't. Now, when I did put these pieces together, I have tried to work out their positions, because this is actually cut out of the same piece of wood, so I'm hoping that when I spin the pieces over the grain will still line up, but that's going to be an interesting thing. I've put numbers on the ends and hopefully it'll work out, but it looks quite nice so far. Right, I'm going to take this off the lathe, take it apart, and I will time lapse you through the glue up. Let's see if I can remember what I've got to do. There you go, you can see on the ends the marks that I made, numbered them, and I put the arrows towards the end result center. Right, so if we turn these all around, then okay, so these can be glued now, so I'm going to do these half and half. Am I doing this right? Yes, I am doing this right. Oh, it's a real head scratcher, this. If I'm doing this wrong, shout. Imagine everybody screaming at the camera right now, Matt, you're doing it the wrong way. Yeah, that's right. As long as the arrows are pointing at each other, we're good. Right, we'll let that dry and then we'll come back, unclamp and do the other bit. Okay, this has been drying overnight. Let's take it all apart and see what we've got. So, I'm going to have this with a base because it's not really a Christmas ornament. So I think I want to have something like this. This might be a bit ambitious. We'll see. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to true up the ends because they're glued slightly offset from each other and I want them perfectly flush so they can go on the lathe better. So I'm just going to do that. Getting mighty thin there. So that's as far as I can go on that piece. I'm going to mark that. When you're looking at this from above, as you can probably see on the camera actually, you're looking at ghosting nearly all the places. It's the only thing you have to tell you how much wood you've got left. tell you what, it's nerve-wracking. The one thing I would say is it's absolutely critical where you put your light. You really need to cast a shadow on the inside edge down in here. If you can do that, then you get a really good view as to where you are at with whatever it is, whichever place you're on. I think I've done as much as I'm kind of comfortable with going up through here. I shall sand that very gently and then do something with the top. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with the bottom because it's glued okay. There's glue up to here. Right, let's see if we can do something with the bottom. I think I'm going to leave the top piece a little bit longer because I want the support. Right, let's rearrange lights and things a minute. How do we look? Get a little bit more here, he says gingerly. I'm going to change tool rest because I can't get in there enough. I will bring this to a point, but I need to get rid of this ring. It's quite a nice little adapter ring, this. Allows you to get a bit more grab on the tailstock. I mean, I don't need to use it really, but I'm kind of worried. I don't want to put much pressure on this. Right, now I'm going to do a bit of sanding, I think, and I'm going to leave that intact whilst I do the sanding, and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on. It's actually looking quite good, I quite like it. Right, we need to take this piece off. I'm just going to hold on to it very lightly. Let's get rid of this. Right, a little bit of sandpaper. Whether that's it's a grain mark. That's why it wouldn't come out, it was a grain mark. I think an interesting variation of this would be to use different woods, I guess. I didn't do the finish properly on the inside, but because I got confused in my brain. It's a little bit like hinge blindness. You ever had hinge blindness? Where you're kind of working out, you're hanging a door and suddenly your brain starts switching hinge directions down all over the place. It's an absolute nightmare. Well, this is very similar. I'm going to clean up the bottom, but I'm going to do it off the lathe once I've done this. It's just easier to do this now. I tell you what, my finger really hurts. I was playing around with those little rotary carving attachments and accidentally ran it over my little fingernail, which was not really very advisable, just so you know. Not that you probably needed to be told that, but seemingly I do. So for a first try at inside out, I don't think that's too bad. It'd be quite nice to see do resin ones as well, but I'm really kind of all about the wood at the moment. I think we change, don't we? So we try new things. I love ash and the way the grain pops. You almost don't need anything other than sanding sealer. It's tremendous stuff. This is cellulose sanding sealer, which if you were standing next to me now you'd realise because it's quite fumey in here. It's really strange looking through, can you see? And that's what you see when you're turning it if you're not a wood turner. It's very, very difficult. I think this is technically the hardest thing I've done. My turning skills are novice, I would suggest. I've only been turning since last July, so that's what, 7 months from now. If you are going to have a go, have a go. What's the worst that can happen? It can blow up in your face, but wear a face mask and then you're all right. Depressing when it happens, but I saw somebody the other day using a wax and then using a blowtorch on it, which I thought was a bit, how should we say, primal, I guess. Maybe it works. I kind of get the idea of putting heat on it, but blowtorch seems a little bit extreme to me. Tell you what, I'm going to buff this up and then I'll bring you back at the end. There we go, everybody. Other than a few pencil marks that are still inside it, which I can't get to, I think that's come out really well. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button if you've enjoyed the video. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. It would be great to have you aboard. Till next time, bye.